Sean says, you said that the FG42 is one of the most controllable full automatic full-size rifles, and it seems to achieve this at least in part by having a spring in the stock to help with recoil. Why is this seemingly simple measure not more widespread? Does it contribute to the FG's fragility, which as far as I know is its only significant drawback? The more I experiment with FGs, and especially being able to go back and look at the high-speed footage from the original one that I was able to shoot, I'm not actually convinced that that stock buffer does all that much. Maybe it does, but there's not a lot of energy left getting dumped into the stock by the time the bolt carrier comes that far back. I think the advantages, the controllability to the FG come largely from its muzzle device, from its inline design, which is, that's a lot of why the AR-15 or AR-10 before it were as controllable as they are. And yeah, those two factors, I think, have more to do with it than the recoil buffer in the buttstock. Now, the reason why I think people haven't really worked on trying to replicate this sort of controllability is that it generally went away right about the time that the FG42 was being developed. We see a whole generation of 7.62 NATO caliber rifles, but in a select fire role, they're not really meant to be fired from the shoulder. And even the FG is not hugely effective fired from the shoulder. Yes, it's more controllable than others, but you're still better off firing in semi-auto from the shoulder and saving the full auto for basically duplicating a light machine gun, firing the thing from the bipod. And that's how most of the other rifles that followed of this pattern, things like the G3 and the FAL, those are intended to be used in full auto from bipods, which they generally had integrated into the gun, and otherwise only in the most extreme emergency circumstances. So there's not a lot of impetus for designers to try and come up with a 308 or 7.62 NATO rifle that is easily controlled in full auto from the shoulder, because that's not a goal that really many agencies or potential customers are looking for. No matter how controllable it is, it's still not going to be all that accurate. If you're dumping the magazines of a rifle like that in full auto, really makes a lot more sense to do it from the bipod.